And I ask all of you to please understand me, support me, accept me, love me for who I am.
And you can only do that by talking about it.
Please talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. It is very important.
Hey, I'm Greg Grunberg, and welcome to Talk About It, the podcast where we focus on topics that everybody should be talking about, and hopefully they will be, not only talking, but screaming about.
Epilepsy shouldn't keep you from doing anything that you want to do.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
While we will continue our focus on epilepsy, of course, we will also look at other health conditions and causes. Our goal is to knock down, drag out, and eliminate stigma and raise awareness. Each episode, you're going to hear from amazing advocates and champions. You will learn, as I will, about how we can all help to make a real difference.
Talking about it is important. It's all about connecting.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Thank you for talking about it.
Thank you for talking about it.
Talk About It is sponsored by Seizures Are Signs. Seizures Are Signs is dedicated to educating those living with or caring for someone with uncontrolled seizures about the importance of early diagnosis, recognition, and treatment. To learn more, please visit seizuresaresigns.com. Seizures Are Signs is made available by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. All right, so let's jump right into this episode of Talk About It. Here we are, another episode of Talk About It, and this one is really special because I found people that are doing a very similar thing to what I do, which is taking the lemons that we've been given and making lemonade with them. Well, these people are making the most delicious version of lemonade. We've got three very special groups of guests, I should say. Karen, Kyle, and Morgan. Man, do we love them, and you'll see why, and you'll be blown away by the amount of people that they're helping. Then we will meet a woman who has created a series of comic books about superheroes that all have disabilities, and it is absolutely incredible. Definitely going to want to stick around for that. But first, what the F? What the F? No, it's not what you think. I'm really thrilled with this woman, Landis Wiedner, who has epilepsy and has a podcast called What the F? The F being epilepsy. Well, let her explain. I do want to say what the F when it comes to her because she's doing such a great job with her podcast. She might be putting me out of a job. This person is such an inspiration. I saw her at the walk in LA. You saw her too, Nick. We were walking around, and it said, "What the F?" And I'm like, "What the f-?" Anyway, that's not what it represents. But she's an inspiration. She's got a podcast for the epilepsy community, and we're going to learn more right now. Bring her in. There you are. So excited to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Well, I forgot to ask you before we started if I can curse, and you just answered that question for me.
Yeah,
thank you.
We beep it out. So
I'm going to have to do a lot of post work. But.
Yeah, okay. No problem at all. All right, tell me, first of all, the quick story behind the teddy bear behind you. I love that. There's the teddy bear there.
Yeah. So this teddy bear has an EEG on it. And it's made by Bear Keeps Dancing, and there's a book that accompanies it too. It's a children's book, and it's just kind of normalizing epilepsy for little kids. And
that's
then,
so great. So it's not scary, and
Yeah, when you have an EEG, then you got a little buddy that does too. Like if I had one of these in the EMU, I would have been stoked. It's just so amazing. So I love it, and I just always have it on my shelf here.
I love it. Okay, talk to me about. So you were born with epilepsy, or when did you start having seizures?
As an adult. So at 32, I was diagnosed after brain surgery.
But you're 27. So how is that possible that you're young?
I know, it's amazing, right?
Wow. So out of the blue, you start having seizures?
No, it was after brain surgery to remove a brain tumor.
Wow.
And about 6 weeks later, when I was going through radiation treatment, I started having epileptic seizures. So, which apparently is pretty common.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of like, we're just going to tack on one more thing.
One thing I kept hearing over and over again from epileptologists and people in the neurology community is the brain doesn't like to be messed with. It doesn't like to be opened up. It doesn't, but they saved your life because you had a brain tumor.
Right. It was like not a question of if I'm going to get this surgery or not. Like I knew some of the risks going in, but it's just kind of like I couldn't do that over. And so this is just one of the things that happen, and you just kind of figure it out from there in a very difficult process. Just because getting it as an adult, not that there's any great way to get epilepsy, but it's like I had been adulting without it, for 32 years. And then I can say like, okay, adulting with it is a whole lot harder.
Yeah.
So I feel like it just gives a different perspective on what epilepsy is like and how to explain it to other people too.
I can only imagine when you find out you have a brain tumor and then you're like, and they say, we can get it out. This is what, and so it's a new lease on life, but now your life has changed. So,
Yeah.
talk to me about that.
So that was actually my second brain tumor. So this is not my first rodeo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my first one's like an OG, will always stay there, always be in my brain and hang out. And I always joke that my brain tumor got a boyfriend before I did because I was very, very single. And I was so
That's
pissed.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So this was your second, was it your second brain surgery?
No. So the first one, I'm very lucky with both of them. They're both like relatively good brain tumors together. The first one is just, we'll hang out there forever. So... And hopefully, that's the goal. And then the second one came along and I was like, oh, okay, brain tumor 1 got lonely and manifested a boyfriend. So, but I was like, and the breakup's coming.
Right.
And that breakup was messy because it caused epilepsy. So,
Yeah.
So, I mean, but how it changed my life. I mean, honestly, like I feel the brain surgery was, in retrospect, almost the easier part because there's a recovery involved and there's an end in sight. The epilepsy was, which I didn't understand at the time, was way harder to adjust to because that's forever. And I'm going through radiation treatment and starting epilepsy drugs at the same time. And so just like completely slayed, completely exhausted, didn't know what was going on. And it was hard to discern which was from radiation, brain surgery, and epilepsy seizures.
Right.
All that stuff. But I didn't understand what I was getting into with epilepsy when I was diagnosed with it at all.
So with all of those changes in your life, and now, it's a new life. I mean, you're living with this, like my son is living with it. And, when did you decide to, because this episode is called Lemonade, when did you decide to make lemonade out of lemons and say, you know what, I want to start a podcast? And by the way, if you're listening to this and you don't see the logo, it's What the F, EF. People need to listen to this podcast. You need to subscribe. You need to listen to all the past episodes. It's just one of those things where it's like, talk about it. You're doing what I'm doing, which is talking about it and talking to the amazing people in our community. But I'm sorry. So go back. When did you decide to start this?
So it kind of came from a lot of inspiration built up over time in the sense where when I was diagnosed as an adult, I could not find resources for myself at all. Like I couldn't find support groups. I couldn't find anything. I found a lot of stuff for kids, a lot of stuff for teens, and a lot of stuff for caregivers. But I was feeling very just like, I don't know where to go or who to turn to. The other thing is that my cousin, who is my very good friend, he took his own life because seizures took over his when he was 36.
My God, I'm sorry.
And that was, thank you, it was devastating. And it was 2 years before I had epilepsy. And all of a sudden, like 6 months into my diagnosis, I was like, I understand his perspective right now. Because when you're living alone as an adult and trying to adult with seizures and all your life is just having seizures and recovering from them, it's really hard to see the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
And I completely understood. And I was like, we need to make sure this doesn't happen. Not that I can have any control over that, but I just want people to feel less alone.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to create an adult resource that's just basically like adulting with epilepsy with a sprinkle of humor, because that's why it's called What the F. It's for epilepsy what the F moments, and kind of talking about what it's like to try and get healthcare, have a career, date, have kids, be in a marriage, all the things that aren't covered in clinic. And just have real anecdotal conversations where someone can listen for free anywhere in the world and just be like, oh, I feel seen.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Or, oh, that's how you do this. Okay. Right. Like, because I mean, for me, it was like, because I'm at a point, I'm recently married and, the whole kid conversation comes up right away. And, that's not necessarily, it's talked about in a very medical sense and like the pregnancy
Yeah.
part of it. But it's like, but what about being a parent? Like, because I hear you don't get a lot of sleep with kids. So,
Yeah, and sleep's so
we
important to
all
someone with
know.
epilepsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of just talking about those things and kind of being like the yin to the yang of all those podcasts that are out there that are amazing, talk about research and the medical side of it. And it's like, okay, let's provide the anecdotal side. Same thing like you said, like you're doing, just providing some, touchstones for people and the
Right.
community.
How to better your life, how to live well with any condition, but especially epilepsy. How much of your time has this taken up? How many episodes have you done?
So we are now in season 5, and each season has, and it's spelled like C's with an N, so SEIZEN.
That's awesome.
Just
to confuse people.
Again,
I
bring
get
the
it.
humor.
No, it's
and just
great.
kind of, I
Season.
just really just want everyone to know,
It's so smart.
that this is something there is a lot of laughter talking about some really dark.
If you don't
and-
laugh, you will not make it. I mean, I talk to people all the time. I use the stupid thing, but when we were, when Jake was really young, it was like, what do you want for dinner? He'd always say, Caesar salad. And it's like, and as much as that, like, but much worse. And so many other things that are hilarious and hard to talk about, whatever. But yeah, you have to laugh. I mean,
it's my favorite coping mechanism, also making sure you're not in denial, but laughing, but the whole thing,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's just a really great way to kind of just break it up and just, acknowledge that it's a great way to acknowledge that things suck, without necessarily bringing yourself to your knees.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
like my best friends will make all the greatest seizure jokes, and I love it. I love because like they know they can, they know they can with me, and so and I'm like, you're a good friend of mine if you make these jokes. So
Yeah.
it's just the best way to cope I think for me personally, and so many people I meet.
Let me talk about that. So, when there's a bad seizure joke on TV, like if somebody's doing some crazy dance on the floor and they go, "Hey, are you having a seizure? You're dancing." I'm the first person to get a call. And there are moments, trust me. I had to go. There was one thing where it was like Eddie Murphy going, "You seizure boy, little seizure boy," in this movie. And I called. They took it out of the ads. I mean, it's like, I understand where it's appropriate. But there are other times when I think, come on, like at least people are talking about it, and it's not something that you feel like you're on eggshells and you can't talk about. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So I kind of feel like it's one of those things that you have to earn that ability to make the jokes,
Mhm.
And if you're knowledgeable or having the lived experience, either one, I feel like that's where you have the permission. And that kind of goes to a lot of things just in the community. You think about like the horrible things that we said as jokes in the 90s,
Ooh.
but we
Yeah.
were just like, oh, it's fine. It's okay. It's just a joke. And
I know.
and so
Watch
and then,
watch
when
Eddie Murphy's old stand-up specials. I mean, they start with
You got a lot of Eddie Murphy content.
Exactly. Wait a minute. Hold on. Maybe I'm onto something. He's one of my favorite actor comedians ever.
too.
You were saying that it has to be earned, and I think you're right.
Yeah, and it's just like I feel like we get to a more elevated point where people have a better understanding of epilepsy and seizures in general, and when we're not like begging schools for seizure first aid and training and things like that. I feel like when we get there, then when you have the power of knowledge, I feel like then you can make the joke. But I don't think we're there yet. And I believe we will be, just because of so much progress that we've been making legislatively worldwide, not worldwide.
No, I hear you though. But it is a global thing because I hear from all over the world at times.
Oh yeah.
The biggest question I have for you is, what the F? Why have I not been on your podcast?
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot here.
I know.
Greg.
Can we make that happen, please? I really do want to be on. I'd heard of it, and then when I saw you at the walk with you had a booth, and I was like, this is so cool. Somebody that's listening to this who is struggling, who's feeling very alone, who's thinking about starting, an art class, starting this, doing that, and they feel like it's not going to make a difference. Mm-hmm. What can you tell them?
I feel like having attainable goals, which means to translate like small goals I think is the best way to start anything like that, just so that you're not shooting for the stars right off the bat. Because when you can check something off your list, even if it's like the smallest thing, like, I sent an email,
Yeah.
just because when you start with those attainable goals, then you kind of feed off of that success that you've had, and the goals can get bigger and bigger as you kind of structure them. It's like just a literal checklist.
The first one on my list is wake up.
Yeah. Yes.
And sometimes I don't check that. Sometimes I just
you
don't.
got to check it.
I don't
You got to
get
give
to that.
yourself that serotonin, man.
If you're listening to this, please check out What the F podcast. You have to listen to it. You have to follow it. And there's 5 seasons.
We're on YouTube. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify.
Good.
We're on pretty much every streaming service out there. Audible. We're wherever you like to listen.
Okay, good.
So,
thanks
for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
And we're here.
Yeah.
Now we're connected. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Greg.
Coming up on Talk About It.
That joyful moment when they realize they're in a non-judgment zone. There's no judgment.
Everyone's got their own thing and nobody cares.
Yeah. Everybody in the room gets it. That's what's neat. They get it.
All right, well, you heard me talk about the Epilepsy Walk at the Rose Bowl. We go every year. We love it. Josh Duhamel is out there. DJ Hupp is out there.
Hey, everybody, how are you?
And, of course, our son Jake is walking with his friends, our friends and family. Anyway, it was incredible. Check this out. Come on, this is what it's all about, baby. This is the Epilepsy Walk LA, and we're gonna meet some really fun peeps. We're gonna walk around, but this is how you know you are not alone. Let's check it out.
Hi everybody, I am so thrilled to be back this year. We are at the Epilepsy Walk here at the Rose Bowl in Los Angeles, bringing awareness to epilepsy, which I know your son has.
Yes.
They call me on stage.
Okay.
They paid me a lot to be here. I gotta get up there.
I love you. We all love you, and we'll see you on the podcast.
All right, brother.
I'm not
I'm
going to no, or I'm not going to take yes again without going. You're the best.
Today, I'm seizure-free for 3 years.
I've now been seizure-free for 15 years. Yes, there are possibilities. Like, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And so we're here to talk about epilepsy. We're here to be in community with one another. And I'm just so excited to see everybody out here.
Greg, get on up here.
Greg Grunberg. And this is his son, Jake. Jake has epilepsy.
I've done these nationally, locally. This is the best walk, right? Isn't this the best? Please go to talk about it on video.com and check it out. Every time we're here, we're reminded that we're not alone. Am I right? I mean, this is where you realize what a wonderful and strong community that we have. And last thing we ever want as caregivers is to be patted on the back and say you're doing a great job. But you all need to know it. You're doing great. Thank you to all the caregivers out there.
We appreciate your tenacity, brother. All right, later, buddy.
Team Talk About It, baby.
3, 2, get walking!
Let's go, baby. Let's go. I mean, look at all these beautiful people walking. And I'm here with
Andrew Hain. I am here today because my fellow autism self-advocate, David Sharif, passed away from an epileptic seizure 2 years ago. He was only 24.
This is why we need to find a cure.
Absolutely.
And this is why we need to keep talking about it.
And I ask all of you to please understand me, support me, accept me, love me for who I am.
And you can only do that by talking about it.
Please talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. It is very important.
I made it. No golf cart this year.
Can I win? First place. First place. Yeah!
Now, I wasn't alone at the walk, as I mentioned. I had friends and family. We always do. People that are around us, that support Jake. These next three people are very, very special to us, and you'll hear why. Karen, Kyle, and especially Morgan are just incredibly special people, and our lives, our paths have crossed in the best way possible. There's so much love going on. Karen is doing such an incredible job, not just as a caregiver to her son, Kyle. What she has created, what she does every weekend to help those around her, it's astonishing. It's inspirational. Check this out. Is Morgan going to sing? Because Morgan has a beautiful voice.
What do you think, Morgan?
No chance? All right, make sure you talk into that.
And you should hear him do his rendition of I Feel Good by James Brown.
What?
Yeah. His very first performance on stage. Good. I didn't know he was going to sing that song. And he started doing I Feel Good by James Brown, and I almost fainted. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was about 14 years ago. It was for the choir program I did, Sunshine Singers, and we did it at CBS Studios.
Yeah.
That's wait a minute. How can you hold that secret from your mom? I don't get it.
No, because he did a good job of keeping it a secret.
Well, because you got asking, you were like, "Oh, what songs are we doing?" I said, "Oh, we're doing a few." I didn't tell her what songs we were doing.
You didn't tell me.
And I did the scream, and then she just like her mouth just dropped.
I love it.
Didn't even tell me he was doing a solo. And all of a sudden, he just
it was on Halloween
belts it out. And it was on Halloween, so they were in costume.
I wore like a night costume, and I had like a
yeah. He was dressed like a medieval knight, singing "I Feel Good."
Oh my God! Okay, so let's talk about because of that. Let's talk about surprises. No, because this is something that I think you probably get a lot, Kyle. Is like when people hear you have cerebral palsy, is there an expectation that people have when they meet you, or that they don't quite know, because this happens with every condition. People are like on eggshells, and they want to treat you with kid gloves and everything. Right. And it's like, how do you want to be treated? This is for people that are listening.
Well, I'm really friendly. I just, and people warm up to me, so it just. I mean, that's pretty much it, right?
I know, but you're hilarious. You're really smart. You're like, it's just...
You sing James Brown?
You sing James Brown. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Let's talk, we'll get to your singing. Let's talk in a nutshell, sort of just give us way back, like when there was the diagnosis and, just the history of that.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So when I was pregnant with Kyle, I was 7 months pregnant, and I kept having sort of back pain, and I called up my doctor, and I was like, I have back pain, what's going on? And so the doctor, it's normal, you're pregnant, don't worry about it. And so I went through the whole night with this back pain, which was unusual for my pregnancy. And so the very next day, I had my doctor's appointment, and so I said, okay, well, I'm going to go in. This back pain started me insane. What's going on? There's got to be something weird about pregnancy. Never had a baby before, so I didn't know anything. So I get to the doctor's office, and she puts me up on the table just to take a look, and she goes, oh my God, she's like, I can see the baby's head. Don't move. I was like, what?
Wow. Okay.
So I was like, I'm in her office, right? And she should have called an ambulance to take me to the hospital.
Right.
But instead she called my husband, who had never been to the doctor's office. He didn't know where it was.
Wow, wait, and how far along were you?
I was at 7 months. So Kyle was born at 32 weeks instead of 40.
So they're in the ultrasounds and that kind of thing, they can't see anything.
No, they had no idea what was going on. So we got to 18 months, and Kyle couldn't sit up, roll over, do anything really, couldn't walk. I mean, there was nothing he could do at 18 months. Basically, wherever you put him, that's where Kyle was. He didn't move. If you had
but he's still yelling, hey! And you're like, this doesn't work.
Yes, it was strange. It was very strange, and it was like if you put a toy outside of his reach, he would reach for it. It did not exist if it was not within his reach. I mean, he really just blanked it out. So he didn't get upset, and he didn't try to make a move for it.
And how were you and Cam at that moment? Like, were you?
Well, we were worried because we didn't know what was going on, and so we talked to our pediatrician, and she had no idea. And we're like, okay, he's 18 months. We know even with the first child, there should be milestones he's reaching and they're not. And so she just kept saying, oh, he was premature. He'll catch up. Oh, he's a boy. They take longer to develop. Okay, whatever. At 18 months, I finally got mad at her. I said, you need to refer me to somebody who can tell me what's going on. And so they sent us to a neurologist, and I walked in the door with Kyle, and she looked at Kyle for probably less than 2 minutes. And she goes, she says, he has cerebral palsy. You can cry now. And I looked at her like, what?
Wow.
What an awful thing to say.
Yeah.
And I said, and not
that's
the cerebral
how she said
That's
it?
how she announced it. She goes, your son has cerebral palsy. You can cry now.
Wow.
I was
Talk about
astounded.
bedside manner.
I know, right?
Wow.
I was so upset. And I looked at her, I said, why on earth would I cry? I said, now at least I know what the problem is.
Yeah.
Now what do we do about it?
Yeah.
That's my attitude.
And
it was
that
maddening.
seems to be your attitude, your family's attitude towards a lot of things.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, you guys radiate joy. You just do. It's so wonderful, except for this one. Oh man.
She never smiles, never laughs, never.
Oh, full disclosure, Karen is the mother of Morgan, who is dating Jake Grunberg, my son. And you're kind of your brother.
Long lost brother. Yeah.
Your long lost brother. So, and Kyle is just extraordinary. When I met these people, you think you get inspired by people and you're like, wow, it can't get any better. It's about to get better. And it doesn't seem to have, honestly stopped you or bothered you from doing anything. I mean, you have a great girlfriend. You got a great job.
Yes.
You help so many people, which is what I want to get to for what you guys have done. And you work with them. I mean, you're just all in.
Yep.
So because that's what this episode is about, we're going to have you back to talk about more of your story. But I want to get to, when did the light bulb go off? When did the switch get turned in your mind where you're like, you know what? I can help people, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Oh, yeah. So when Kyle was about 6, I had him enrolled at the local community center. And he was taking a program for special needs kids. And there was 4 or 5 kids there. And he had just barely learned to walk. But I wanted him physical because having CP, he needed to be physically active. It was very important. And so...
have you always been into sports and into watching and wanting to participate and all that? No?
Not watching games. Playing it is fine, but watching it, no.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know. Well, I know that from you.
Yeah, we're not sports people. No.
Right.
I mean, Jake always comes to the games, so.
I know.
Yeah, no, of course.
He loves
but as far as playing, you just always loved playing and
oh, yeah.
the team aspect of it and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you saw a need for this.
Well, yeah, and making new friends was so important. And so we had a friend at the community center who suggested that we take Kyle to soccer. And I was looking at them like, you're out of your mind. I said, I can push Kyle and he'll tip over and fall on the floor. So why do you want me to put him on a field?
Well, soccer players do that all the time, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's called flopping. I know. It's called flopping. That's what they do.
It was so scary. And I was like, okay. Because this other friend, of Kyle's had scoliosis. Another friend had autism. And it was like, okay, well, we're in good company. Let's go check it out. And we did. And there was this wonderful coach who had started what we call the VIP soccer program. VIP is very important players soccer program.
Oh, come on. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
That's so
really
awesome.
Very important
Wait, so
players.
this was started before. So when somebody suggested going to the soccer, you're talking about a special needs soccer.
Special needs soccer. Yeah.
Good for you to go, okay, I want him to be make friends. I want him to be more physical. Okay.
That was the biggest deal, was to make sure that he got out of the house, made friends, moved forward in life to the best of whatever we could do for him.
Love it.
And so this wonderful coach had started this program at our local park, and it was incredible. We went and tried it. They had 5 or 6 kids.
I still know him to this day.
And we still know him to this day.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we would bring typical kids over to play against our special kids, teaching the typical kids empathy and understanding, and giving our special kids the opportunity to form some peer-to-peer relationships.
And
which is very cool.
did you just kick their in soccer? 'Cause that's the best.
I was 11 when I started, so it was
okay. There you go. When did you say, okay, I want to be more involved in this and just have Kyle go?
Well, the coach, he was a wonderful man, but he would get overwhelmed because there'd be flyers to hand out, and okay, here's the uniforms to hand out, and so I was always there. I never left Kyle. Neither did any of the other parents, but I'm very outgoing, so I was and he'd say, well, Karen, can you hand out this? Can you hand out that? Okay, fine. So I'd help hand out all these things. And so after the first couple of years, he was like, okay, Karen, you just handle all that and I'll handle the coaching.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
So it grew from there. And Kyle, still 20 years later, is still doing it. And the VIP soccer program, I have over 100 kids that play every Saturday during the fall season, starting at the age of 4 and going up into their 40s. There's no
and it's still called VIP.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
It's called VIP soccer. Yeah. There it is. This is our program. Yeah, there we are.
That's it.
Yeah. I love this. Love it.
Yeah, we're AYSO33, and you'll actually see Kyle and I on there. So, because I wrote a very long, verbiage about it and some pictures.
Wait, long
there.
verbiage from you?
Yes.
How? That is shocking.
Well, because our desks are next to each other, so I
I
can
knew
see
you were going to be the best guests on the show ever. You're the best.
So, but it's amazing because it's grown and grown and grown. And then from there, the coach got excited and started the basketball program as well. And then the same thing happened. I took that over. So I have VIP soccer and VIP basketball.
Wow. Okay. And you've been involved
Since I was born.
Oh, yes,
you were
she was
born.
born.
Yeah. So what's the best thing about VIP?
I just love that it's so open. I just love that like everybody's involved. Everybody who has any kind of thing is there and can come.
Yeah.
And even ones that you look at them, you don't think they have a disability, but it's hidden. you know? And it's anything. And we learn about new disabilities every day.
So interesting. Yeah.
You know?
So interesting.
And you must hear, first of all, you've made so many friends there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And is that where you met your girlfriend?
No, I met her in high school.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You met her in high school. Okay.
In a choir program.
In a choir program.
In a choir program.
Yes.
I feel good. She's like, yes, you do. And it was it.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it.
Talk about, because selfishly, and I talk about this all the time, the rewarding nature, what you get out of it. Because selfishly, I mean, don't talk about anybody else right now, because you help so many people.
Well, no, the whole goal, especially with Kyle, was I wanted him to have the fullest life I could give him, even despite his disabilities. It was like, how can we give him a full life? How can we give him a rich life filled with friends and people that he can connect with and people that he can go and hang out with and do everything that's as normal as possible, I'll put normal in quotes, as possible within his life. And so we have made hundreds of friends over the years. At work, he has so many people that come in and say, hey, Kyle, I saw you, at soccer. I saw you at basketball, things like that.
I get that.
He gets that all the time. And on the fields and on the basketball court, he's very much a goodwill ambassador because people are scared to bring their kids to our programs, just like I was 20 years ago. And it's so neat because I say, well, here's my son. And they go, oh, you have a special needs player as well.
Yeah. So
awesome.
If you're listening to this, if you're watching this,
it's amazing.
Yeah. Don't hesitate.
Right.
Don't bury your head in the sand.
No, don't hesitate.
Go out there.
Yeah.
Tell me about the friendship, the network. Like, you said you made friends. Well, these people, I'm sure you text with, you talk with, you meet, you get together with.
I see them all the time. I'll probably see them again this weekend too. So.
Yeah. It's great. And you see them outside of VIP?
Yeah.
I love it.
If I'm going to a dance, I'll see people there. If I,
Yeah.
That's so
our
great.
network is huge now because we've spent so much time
go to a
making
party, I see them
connections.
there,
Going to parties. Kyle will have a birthday party and he'll have 20 kids that want to come. I mean, easily.
Yes.
And he's an adult. How often at the age of 32 do you have 20 friends that want to come to your birthday
I
party?
I don't have 20 friends.
Same.
I mean, I have people that claim to be 20 of my
There you
friends.
go, right?
And by the way,
Yeah.
that's the other thing is these are deeper connections that most people make in their life. Okay, so we're going to wrap up because we have but Kyle, if somebody's out there listening to this right now and they're feeling extremely alone and they have CP or whatever issue they have, what can you tell them to either encourage them to participate and find that thing or create something?
Well, I do basketball, so if someone new wants to come in, try it out, I told them not to hesitate. Just, come and try it.
That's great. So you're always taking new people in,
always.
never turning anybody away.
No.
Never, ever. No
That's
matter
so-
what the disability is.
We always told them, come and try it first before you sign up,
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Part of the success of our programs, but the VIP soccer and the VIP basketball programs are that people will call me and like myself are scared. They're scared to death of bringing their child to our program because they're like, oh my God, this is sports and I'm really worried about my child. And I say, look, I remove obstacles. Obstacles have to be taken out of the way. If the success of your child on the basketball court or on the soccer field means that you need to be out there playing, go right ahead.
Right.
We do this all the time. Our Sunday program especially, which has a lot of little kids, half of the court is filled with parents, and they're out there running around with their
I'm the
kids having
assistant
a
coach.
blast.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
smiles are huge, and the just joy. There's so much joy. That's why I want you to come and see the program
can't
because
wait.
it's amazing.
Yeah, we're coming.
The joy in the
It's
room,
really cool.
that joyful moment when they realize they're in a non-judgment zone. There's no judgment. Nobody whisper or anything like that. Everybody in the room gets it. That's what's neat. They get it. So it's like,
and that's like what I said. It's the most inclusive place
most
ever.
inclusive. Yeah.
Like non-judgment.
Non-judgment.
Everyone's got their own thing, and nobody cares.
Yeah. And what are all the parents doing that aren't on the court? They're sitting on the bleachers networking. They're not looking at their phones. They're networking.
Yeah.
And the networking is huge because this parent might know, here's a summer camp for special needs kids.
Come on.
This parent might know, oh, there's a ballet program because I have a young lady who'd like to do a
community.
ballet. Yes. It's insane. The amount of information our parents have is incredible, and you can see it. And if a parent goes, oh my God, Karen, I'm having a crisis about XYZ, I'm like, oh, here, I'll take you over and you can talk to this mom who knows all about it.
And what's the website?
Sure. We are ayso33.org. And that's
ayso33.org.
Yeah.
Check it out.
So you need, AYSO Region 33. So this is us. And then if you go to, where's the VIP tab? Okay, I can't see it. I don't have my glasses on. Yeah, if you go there, and if you look at this, you'll see here, I wrote all this. This is all me.
Yeah, she did all that.
So this is Coach Daniel with one of our soccer teams. And if you go a little further, you'll see Kyle. Kyle's on here as well. There's Kyle.
Nice.
There's me in the hat.
I love it.
Kyle's on the field with all of his friends.
Dude, you're a rock star, man.
Yeah.
You are. You're an inspiration to so many people, and it's just it's so wonderful. And I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your story. And will you come back?
Yes.
I mean, you don't have a choice
He would love it.
because we're tied. We're tied because of this one over here. But no, it's just so great. And thanks for inspiring so many people, and keep doing it. And yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And,
good. I want you to see it.
And you just earned a hat.
I got a hat.
You got a hat.
too.
You got a hat. You have all the hats you want whenever
Morgan
you need.
has hats. I guess I have to put a hat on.
Oh, I love it.
I
Grab
have
a hat. Grab a
grab
hat.
Morgan's got to put on a hat too.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You think, Kyle?
That's pretty cool.
I love it.
Coming up on Talk About It.
One of the things that Team C says, their motto is, your difference is your strength. It's not about hiding or being afraid of what makes you different. It's celebrating it.
I love that. Love that. So I wanted you guys to actually see and experience what I experienced when I went to VIP basketball. It's an incredible day. They do soccer as well, but we went out to spend some time with these extraordinary people and their VIP basketball every weekend. Here we are, VIP basketball, and it is incredible here. The number of people that are here, that are getting exercise, that are socializing, that otherwise would be at home watching TV or be on the computer or whatever. This is so wonderful. It's just like it was built, as promised, times 10. Look at this. We got one court right here. This is where they need a little bit more assistance. This one, I mean, they're up and down the court. Like, I can't play with this group. This group is just absolutely dominating. Check it out. Find something like this in your area. Talk about it with people around you. Or if you're in the LA area, come down to Balboa Park on Saturdays, play some basketball, help out, be a buddy. This is what it's all about. All right, I'm here with Coach Kevin. What's the strategy here? Because you got some real ballers out here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get everybody to share the ball.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. But
this guy's draining threes like it's his job.
We got some sharpshooters out here. There's one over here. I got another one over there.
Yeah.
Really want everybody to share the ball.
Yeah.
Teamwork is the main thing, and compete.
Yeah.
Compete with each other. These guys.
Socialization is just so great.
Yeah,
and your son, where's your son?
My guy, he's over there. My son's over there.
Love it. I love it. Well, thanks for doing it, man. It's so great. Okay, so I've got Bill here. His son Luca's out there having a great time.
Karen is an angel. She is absolutely incredible what she has done with this program, creating this program from scratch. The kids, she's given everybody hope for friendship and for love and for just for new beginnings, and it's extremely exciting to be here and be part of it.
And then for you as parents, talking with other parents.
So parents, as a parent of a special needs child, you're always reaching out to other special needs parents. You're always sharing with them programs and talking about the best.
And what?
And talk about it.
There you go.
Talk about it, yes. We're always talking about it. And it was a small program, and it's growing, and it's huge. It's incredible, and it's done so much. And yeah, talk about it. I'm going to plug that again.
That's awesome.
For Luca, it's given him a lot of courage to go out and try new things. It's given him a lot of reassuring himself that, hey, he can do something that maybe he couldn't before, and just confidence in himself. And and friendship, and he really enjoys and looks forward to coming to the basketball, to the soccer, to being a part of something important.
So you're not a fan of this program at all?
It's great. These guys are great, by the way.
Oh my God. So good. You almost have as much fun as they do, am I right?
I do have more fun. I have more fun. Oh yes, definitely.
You know what I love is when they miss and they bring each other the ball and all.
They still encourage each other. They, instead of them thinking about themselves, they do want to shoot for themselves, but they think about other people, other kids, and they want everybody else to succeed. So it's a group, it's a community.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us come out and check it out.
Come out anytime. These kids deserve to be treated with love and respect,
100%.
Just like any other kid. That's the main thing that Karen and I emphasize is their kids, but they need to be treated like everyone else. They need love like everyone else. No one should be afraid, and no one should not know what to do around them. You play with them, you teach them like any other kid. So.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you. All right, so I watched you out there. You were draining some shots. I mean, it was awesome.
I did about 4 or 5 shots. I feel good today.
Yeah, I know. You dominated. Thanks for letting us come out.
You're welcome.
It's awesome.
It's the highlight of my day.
Yeah.
Highlight of my weekend.
Highlight of my week.
It's the best. Karen, Kyle, Morgan, VIP Basketball, what you guys are doing. We all love you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing VIP Soccer and for everything else that you're doing. You're literally serving the most delicious lemonade to everybody out there, and my family loves you. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to our last guest, Sue Sesserman. Sue is one of a kind. Sue is incredible. Sue created Epileptra. What's Epileptra? You're about to find out. She's a superhero for doing what she did. This comic book series is absolutely amazing, and hopefully it leads to TV and animation and a film and whatever she can dream up, because it is absolutely incredible. Here is Sue Sesserman and Epileptra. If you know, you know. I love graphic novels. I have a graphic novel series. It is called Dream Jumper, and it continues to be a labor of love. It is so difficult to get anything made in publishing, let alone a graphic novel series. The competition is immense. I got very fortunate, partnered with Lucas Turnblum, who is just such a brilliant illustrator. You know, it's about a kid who's jumping in and out of his friends' dreams and saving them from their nightmares, and it's an adventure. It's really cool. It is nothing compared to the person you are about to meet. I'm so excited that Sue is joining us. Sue, yes. How are you? Thank you so much for being on the show. I am such a fan already of what you have accomplished, and I know it's coming out, soon, Epileptra. But this is, first of all, which character am I playing? I'm looking behind you for people that are just listening to this. You're wearing purple. You look so great. And right behind you are all these characters. Right. Tell everybody about Epileptra. Tell us why you even are doing this. I know, but let everybody else know.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And thank you so much for having me. It's a joy for me to be here and an honor as well. Okay, let's see. Epileptra is a graphic novel series about a diverse team of superheroes, all of whom have different disabilities.
Come on. Wait a minute. Stop there for a second. That is, first of all, such a great idea, but also so needed. We had a guest on a previous episode who mentioned that Heroes, the show that I was on, was all about these characters who had abilities, and it made them different. It made them stand out. It made them want to hide their abilities because they didn't want to be different and didn't want anyone to know. We feel so isolated. Like, how did you come up with this? It's so wonderful.
I've got so much to tell you. But let me get to the second half of what Epileptra is about.
Yeah.
So they all have these disabilities, right? But they can transform them into super abilities. And super ability is what I call a superpower. And that's intentional, right? Because it's sort of juxtaposed to disability.
I love that.
We're all a part of Team C's, which is sort of, how Captain America is to the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Epileptra, and here she is on the cover.
I love it.
Epileptra is to Team C's, and C's is an acronym for support, and empower everyone zealously.
Great.
Epileptra is to Team C's what Captain America is to the Avengers.
Okay.
She's their leader, and she has epilepsy. And they all have these disabilities they transform into super ability to help their adversaries, as opposed to annihilate them, and to make the world a better place.
Wow. And who are the villains in your story?
Well, one of the neat things that I like about this is that the superheroes are great, but the adversaries, I call them adversaries and not villains, and that's actually a point in the graphic novel series. It's that, everyone is born with something, right? People aren't necessarily born evil. Evil is largely due to circumstances. And if you change the circumstance, you change the need for evil. And so that's what Epileptra and her team do. They work to change the circumstances of their adversaries so they no longer have the need for evil. One of my favorites, and she comes out in, each book has 3 stories. She comes out in story 4, which is the very first story of book 2, which if book 1 does well, book 2 is it's already written, it just needs to be illustrated. So book 2 will be right on its heels.
So, by the way, that was what happened with us. Scholastic, I was so lucky. Scholastic put it out, and it was just like all of a sudden we were in book fairs and we were everywhere. And then it did so well, they said, let's get going on, because it takes people that are listening to this or watching this, it takes so long for these things to happen. Are you self-publishing, by the way, first of all, or is it?
Well, I'm publishing with what's called a hybrid publisher. So it's not quite self-publishing because I'm working with a company who really knows the ins and outs of publishing. They know how to get to the right printer, and they know what kind of paper to put it on. So they help me through that whole process.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the marketing and the publicity, a lot of that is falling on me.
Okay.
As well as the distribution.
Right.
So what I'm doing is a lot of what we're doing right here and now. I'm talking a lot every day, both on social media, and as much in the press as I can.
Yeah.
About Epileptra and all the good that I truly believe she can do.
I think it's pretty obvious, to be honest. I think this is such a great idea, and I really cannot wait for people to see it, to people to buy it, and I hope it goes beyond the graphic novel. I really do. It's one of those things that I think could live.
I want to get back to answer the first part of your question, which was why did I do this? What brought?
So what got you into this in the first place?
I share 2 disabilities with 2 of my superheroes, Epileptra and Insulator. Epileptra, as I told you, has epilepsy. Insulator has type 1 diabetes. I have both of those. And after I was diagnosed with epilepsy, I started volunteering in the epilepsy monitoring units in hospitals with other epilepsy patients. And I heard 2 things consistently from them. One was that I was a hero for coming to see them by myself. The other was that they had almost always given up something important to them because of their disability. They'd given up on a relationship. They'd given up on their education. They'd given up on their career. They'd given up on their independence, all because of their disability.
Yeah.
And this was all right before the pandemic. So once the pandemic hit, I couldn't volunteer any longer because all non-essential workers were asked to leave.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of time on my hands to think. And I kept thinking, what can I do to change the mindset of people like this? What can I do to get them from a place of I can't to a place of I can?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the idea for Epileptra came into my head.
Had you had any experience in writing a book? Had you had any experience in, drawing? Are these your illustrations?
I've been a writer my whole life, but I've not been an author of books my whole life. This is my first book. This is my second act, which I know is a very big thing right now. It's my second act, and weirdly enough, I thank epilepsy for it.
Wow.
One of the things that Team C says, their motto is, your difference is your strength. It's not about hiding or being afraid of what makes you different. It's celebrating it.
I love that. Love that.
I have 2 overriding missions with Epileptra. One is disability empowerment, and it's having people feeling powerful in their differences, not just disabilities, but in anything that they feel might make them feel different or unusual in some way. But the other is stigma elimination, because it's through things like conversation and education that will decrease the level of stigma that surrounds disability.
Yeah, the more you talk about something, the more you
Right.
understand it, the more you see the complexities of it and the people behind something
Right.
like this.
That's one of the things that I'm really proud about Epileptra, is that these superheroes, one of the things that makes them, or there are many things that differentiate them from your Supermans and your Batmans, they're very, very human. They all have regular people personas. Epileptra, when she's not Epileptra, her name is Eden Rivers, and she's a 5th grade social studies teacher. She does a lot of wondering about whether or not she's cut out to be a superhero.
Yeah.
And she actually has seizures in the book. So you get to see what it's like when somebody has a certain kind of seizure. And there's lots of different types of seizures. People should know. They're not all about falling on the ground and shaking. There's
Right.
lots of different kinds.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of education that goes on in this book. And it's not all in your face education. It's very subtle. The main point of this is for people to enjoy it, to have fun with it. It's edutainment.
I love it. And I want to say this several times, but for people to check this out,
Epileptra.com, real simple.
Epileptra.com. EPILECTRA.com. I'll say it one more time. EPILECTRA.com. The characters. So you've been an author. I mean, you've written your whole life. Have you also been an illustrator, or did you partner with an illustrator?
I partnered with an illustrator, although I did all of the concept art.
So you did draw, and then you said, okay, I want to refine this with an illustrator.
Exactly. I'm not a professional artist.
Yeah.
I've always been good at art. I make my own holiday cards. But, the quality of my art wasn't what it needed to be to create a professional, book that would sell.
Yeah.
But it was good enough to put in front of a professional digital illustrator who could then turn it into something that really represented what my vision was.
It's so great. I've got to say, you've already teased us with another character, but like Nick, I mean, think about this. Somebody has type 1 diabetes and the character is called Insulator. Like, that is so smart because it's insulin that you're dealing with. And it's like, let's go Insulator. That is so clever. Now, I mean, you've been holding up your book. If you're just listening to this, Sue's held up the book. That is something tangible. It's in your hands. All this hard work has led to this. What was that feeling like when you actually got it in your hands, bound and real?
You know what? I have to say, it was very surreal. I'm my own worst critic. So I did go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
And there's always something that I feel like I can improve. I think all writers are like that. You could edit till the,
Cows
come home.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's a real source of pride for me. And I hope that people, not just people with disabilities, but it's as much for people without disabilities as it is for people with disabilities.
Hear, hear.
Because it helps people realize people with disabilities are people.
Yeah, and extraordinary people because they have more compassion than others.
Absolutely.
They have to work twice, 3 times, 5 times harder than others to do certain things. I'm just saying every aspect of life gets harder when you have something that you're dealing with that's different than others. And I am so, can I just say this? I know we don't know each other, but I'm just so proud of you. I mean, really, this is so awesome. Somebody that has an idea, they've always wanted to cook something or make something. What encourage them?
You could come up with a million excuses to not do something. But when you go for it and you see it happen, it's worth all of the bruises and scrapes and, burns and things you get along the way when you realize that you can accomplish your dream. I'm 61 years old. One would never think that I would be publishing a graphic novel at my age. I feel more youthful than I've ever felt.
Yeah.
When I talk about Epileptra, it's exhilarating.
Yeah.
So never let whatever the excuses stop you from going for what you need to go for. And the other thing that I want to say is that it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily go straight from point A to point B to get there.
That's a good point.
Maybe you take a different route. Maybe you ask for some help along the way. That is absolutely fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Or baby steps. I mean, it doesn't have, like you just said, you don't have to jump to the top of the mountain. Just start on the path. The path goes all the way around the mountain. And by the way, you're going to get better at it. Like at the beginning where you like, I'm doing this graphic novel called Epileptra and it's going to be great. And then did you have people go, I don't know, Sue. I mean, what do you know about graphic novels?
Actually, how this became a graphic novel is first I came up with the idea for just the character of Epileptra.
Yeah.
And the idea was it sort of combined the idea of epilepsy and electricity, because her superpower is she harnesses the errant electrical activity in her brain and sends it through her fingertips in the form of lightning.
Epilepsy and electricity. That's so brilliant, Sue.
Because the neurons in your brain are sending millions and billions of electrical signals to each other.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
And seizures happen, right, when that goes awry.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So wait, so then you realize, wait a minute, there are more conditions and those are more superheroes. And then it developed into that in your head?
Exactly. So my daughter's, exactly, that's what happened. And I have a adult daughter. And she said to me, Mom, you should make this into a comic book. And I thought to myself, as this idea grew in my head, this is bigger than a single comic book. This is bigger than 22 pages. Because I wanted to go bigger. I wanted to go deeper into the idea of turning disability into a super ability.
It's great. Oh, man.
And that's how it grew into a graphic novel.
I love it. Okay, I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I cannot wait for everyone to get their hands on it. Again, go to epileptra.com. Epileptra.com and pre-order as soon as you possibly can. EPILECTRA.com. Sue, thank you for being on Talk About It, and thank you for talking about it, and thank you for being just so from taking what would normally be talking about it and making it creative and something that everyone can enjoy for years and years. And I hope it becomes a series. I hope it becomes like animated. Sky's the limit.
I have to tell you, that's part of my dream. You got to start here.
Of course.
But that's at the top of the staircase. I would love to see that happen one day, because I think these characters, I think they would be wonderful on a screen, big or little.
I agree. Thank you for helping our community and in such a creative way. You're the best.
What a pleasure.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of Talk About It. Remember, we're all human. We're all dealing with something, and a little compassion every day can change so many lives. Thank you to our special guests. Special thanks to our sponsor, SeizuresAreSigns.com. Thank you to J.J. Abrams for our theme music. Thank you to Nick Marzak for producing, directing, editing, and incidental music. On behalf of my fellow producers, Phil Gattone, Ken Lohenberg, and Nick Marzak, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you're not watching, go to talkaboutitonvideo.com to watch these episodes. They're now on video as well. I'm Greg Grunberg. Don't forget to talk about it, and I will see you next time.
This podcast is a production of the Talk About It Company.